how do you stand out in a crowd where everybody seems to look and act the exact same way as everybody else? That's what it's like in technical sales. Now, if you're already in technical sales, then you know what I'm talking about. You walk into a potential customer or you walk into a customer and you see other people's in your field that all seem to look the same as you look around the waiting room. Or if you go to trade shows or if you go to industry events, everybody's pretty much looks and appears to be the same. Now, there are some personality differences that make people unique, but if you really look at anybody that stood out over the years that you've been doing this, you're always going to remember that person that was different than everybody else. So it's talking about standing out and being unique when it comes to meeting with customers and being in the industry. So when I was in technical sales, what I always noticed is that people in my industry and a lot of industries were always wearing logoed shirts. So it was a polo shirt and it had their logo on it, and they're wearing khaki pants and some sort of, nice looking shoe, whether it's a dress shoe or a fancy gym shoe that's just a leather shoe at the end of the day. But most of the guys were wearing that. And when I first got into it, I was like, well, how can I stand out differently? Now, I was younger than most of my competition, so that typically made me stand out to where it's like, oh, the young guy or the younger looking guy or whatever it is. But I was like, how can I really stand out differently? I know I can perform better and I know that I can treat the customer better. So what is it that I can do that really pushes me over the edge to make them think of me or remember me versus all the other people that come walking through the door? So number one, I did not wear a logoed polo shirt. That's something that I just said, I'm gonna be different. When I walk into a potential customer, I don't want to look like everybody else. So I always wore a tie, whether it was a tie and a suit or a tie and a sweater when it was cold out. I just was trying to dress differently from the get-go, just from a strict appearance standpoint. How can I stand out against everybody else? So you're looking at your dress, the way that you dress. Now, your company may say you have to wear a logoed shirt, which is fine. Then you have to look at the ways that you're treating that potential customer or that customer that make you stand out. So after you get through your dress, then it's going to be your attitude. Your attitude has to be always positive. You have to constantly be smiling and saying, yes, I can do that. You have to have a good positive attitude because nobody wants to deal with somebody that's just going to be negative Nancy, constantly saying like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that's going to take more time or it's going to cost more money, and just bringing down on anything that they come across. You gotta have a good attitude. Now, once you get past that attitude phase and you get a potential opportunity, you have to be quick to respond. Nobody in this day and age wants to wait for anything. I feel like Amazon may have killed that with their 2-day delivery. Everybody's impatient. People have short attention spans. If they have a question, they want an answer quickly. If they send you an email, if they give you a phone call, they want to be responded to as fast as possible. But in technical sales, a lot of times it's just, I'll do that in a little bit. I'll do that when I'm done doing this. I'll get to that later. I'll respond tonight. 1000% will stand by. One of the main things that made me stand out against everybody else in my industry, and something that I teach people all the time, is that the person that responds the fastest will get the attention of that potential customer. It does not matter if you're selling to somebody in purchasing, commodity, engineering, operations, whatever it is. If you respond the fastest, they are going to rely and trust on you. And trust is the number one thing that you have to have in order to close a deal and in order to sell. If there's no trust, there's no anything. Now, if you are that person that responds so quickly and gets some of the answers, even if you don't have the answer, even if so many times I've seen people say, they'll get an email, they'll get a phone call, and the potential customer or the customer will ask a question and they don't have the answer to it. And they say, I'm gonna wait to respond until I get that answer. And then I'm gonna give them that answer. I never used to do that. If I didn't have the answer, I would respond back right away. Let me get with the team and get that answer for you. Or I'm not sure 100%, I think it's this, but let me confirm it with you later. Get them something. People don't want to be left in no man's land. They want to be heard when they have a request. At the end of the day, you're trying to sell them something, or you are their supplier to something. And there's tons of other people that do the same thing that you do. It does not matter the industry you're in. There is competition. Even if you think, oh, my product's great and it's never been done before, you know what? Even those guys that are in AI that we deal with, and those guys that have this great new technology, the competition is what they have been doing. So there always is competition. You are never the only person in the field that has a product or a service that is completely brand new. It's always built on something. It may be different, but it's always built on something. So they will go directly back to the competition. They will go to their other suppliers. They will go to that other person that keeps pestering them. The person that responds fast enough is going to be the one that gets the most attention. It's just like the squeaky wheel gets the oil. It's the same thing. If they have a need, then you need to meet them with some sort of solution. If they have a question, respond ASAP. Some people have put in place, like I'll respond within 24 hours or company policies, which is great, but I would respond as soon as possible. As soon as, if I'm in with a potential customer, or if I'm in a meeting, or if I'm in the middle of doing something with a external customer, not internal meetings where you can jump and have your phone or have your laptop open. I'm talking about when you have somebody from the outside that you're trying to sell to. If they have a need, they are the most important person to respond to. When I'm in meetings with those people, I would not respond to anybody else. But as soon as I get out, whether it's a 30-minute meeting, a 60-minute meeting, or a 4-hour tour and presentation, I am going to first check my phone and make sure that I do not have any notifications with a potential customer or with any of my other customers, and respond to them immediately. Even if it's I'll get right back to you, I'll get right on it. That is what makes you stand out from everybody else. So this is more from a service standpoint. Even if they're not your customer yet, you still are servicing them because they're getting a glimpse into what would you be like. Now you can't just focus on the potential customers and then once you get them, fall off the face of the earth. Unless your organization is set up to where you can push them aside to somebody else that's an account manager and they're the main point of contact, that's fine. But you have to service your current customers and your potential customers as if they are the most important person to you and the most important account to you. You may be sitting there shaking your head and nodding along and like, yep, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do that, but guess what happens? As soon as you get a handful or an onslaught of potential customers that are in your pipeline, you get busy. If once you get customers, you start making commission, you get busy. And what you'll see in all my courses, I talk about complacency. The complacency of the salesperson is the death trap. That is where people become too comfortable and they stop hunting. Even people that have only been doing it a few years and had a great amount of success, I see it more so in the veterans that are just trying to keep things going, they're comfortable and they're happy and they don't want to keep on pushing. But guess what? You're one phone call away or one email away from your largest account leaving, or you're one phone call away from somebody shutting their doors. You never know what's going to happen. You have to constantly be servicing these customers and potential customers. Otherwise, you're going to be left on your heels and you're not going to be able to react as quickly. So never become complacent and always be focusing on servicing them as much as possible, because you never know how long they're going to be around and you never know when you're going to get your next big deal from, or they may know somebody or referrals or things like that. Always treat them as their most important people.